Am I the asshole for refusing to give up the master bedroom to a friend's boyfriend during a group cabin trip? My friend group, me, 26 male, my girlfriend, 25 female, my friend Jay, Eva, Liam, and Frank, have a tradition of renting a cabin every summer and winter. The cabin has a master bedroom, double bed, a twin room, 2 single beds, a loft with 2 single beds, and a pull-out couch in the living room. My girlfriend and I have always paid extra to use the master exclusively. Everyone else shares the remaining beds, and Eva usually takes the couch since she snores and doesn't want to room with a guy. This year, Frank asked if his boyfriend Ed could come with us. None of us had met him, but Frank said that he'd cover the meals to make up for the cost. Ed seemed nice at first and paid for dinner the first night, which was cool. Problems started when we got to the cabin. Ed said he and Frank wanted to take the master bedroom. I told him, maybe a little harshly, that my girlfriend and I usually use it since we pay extra. Ed said he didn't get what the big deal was and that we could sleep in one of the single beds or the couch. These single beds are small and could not comfortably fit 2 people, plus Eva would have to share a room with one of the guys, and she didn't want to. Ed said that my girlfriend and Eva could share the couch and I could room with one of the other guys. I didn't want to room with a guy when my girlfriend and I have been together a lot longer, and there's no reason for me to room with someone else in favor of a couple who have been together less than a year. Jay and Liam tried to help, like giving Ed and Frank the couch so they could sleep side by side, but Ed said he didn't feel comfortable in open spaces and insisted on the master. Ed and I argued more, and he called me homophobic, saying I didn't support his and Frank's relationship by not letting them share a room. I was about to shout when my girlfriend shut me up and told Ed that we'd take the couch. We didn't see them much the rest of the trip. I mostly hung out with my girlfriend and Eva on hikes. Ed and Frank used the master and left a few days early. My girlfriend, Jay, Liam, Eva, and I have been talking about what happened. Jay supports me, but Eva and Liam said that I made a huge deal out of nothing and that letting them have the master for a week wasn't a big deal. Eva, my girlfriend, says that I took things too far by keeping everyone up. I'm still pissed about being kicked out of the room, but I think I might be the asshole because it was late and everyone wanted to sleep, but I kept dragging out the argument and I didn't welcome Ed after he argued with me. Am I the asshole? In the comments, Runner847 says, "Not the asshole. I have a few problems here. Aside from the fact that you paid extra, why did your friend not end this as soon as his boyfriend, who had never met you, called you homophobic? Second, if this was his first time meeting the friend group, then this is a horrible first impression. Joining a regular friend group vacation, he should be sitting back, figuring out the dynamics, and getting to know everyone so he gets everyone's blessing, which is something he did not do. Finally, if they just wanted a week away to have sex, it shouldn't have been on the friend's vacation group. Honestly, your friend is maybe the bigger asshole for not standing up for his friends." OP says, "Frank has always been the quietest. I don't know why he didn't say anything in my defense, because I'd never want him to think that I didn't support him or his sexuality. Ed seemed cool at first, paying for dinner at a pricey place that we ate at on night 1, but everything went downhill after that. I did my best to ignore both of them after the blow-up. Let's be honest, Ed wanted to be able to have sex. Ed sounds like trash, and Frank needs to grow a spine." OP says, "I feel like an idiot for not thinking about this until now, but it would explain a lot. Why else would they not be comfortable out in the open though? Like, you're sleeping inside a presumably sturdy and well-furnished, properly built cabin, not in a flimsy tent in the remote forest with packs of man-eating wolves prowling right outside the tent flap. Right? We pay extra to share that room? Should have been the end of discussion. Ed sounds kind of entitled. Any of the solutions he suggested for you is something he and Frank could have done. It's ridiculous that you wound up paying extra to sleep on a couch, which also made things inconvenient to Eva." OP says, "Eva ended up sleeping in the loft by herself, so she was okay. But yeah, this whole thing sucked all around." Yeah, OP's not the asshole for refusing to give up the master bedroom to the friend's boyfriend, and I understand why everyone was against OP in that moment, because they're like, look, Can we just go with the most reasonable person in the room on this one and stop rocking the boat? Because that is the easiest and least confrontational thing to do right now, even though it is not the morally correct thing to do in this instance. I think Ed has some goddamn nerve coming in and shoehorning you guys into that position in the moment. Personally, Ed and Frank together and never coming on this friends trip. If I was in your position, I would be taking an absolute stance against those assholes for doing this for no good reason besides sex. I'm with the commenters on this one. They just wanted to have sex. That's why they wanted the privacy. I'm not going to give them the benefit of the doubt. And yes, assumptions make an ass out of you and me, but Ed was the bigger asshole. Ed started it. Ed has lost all charitability. Screw Ed. He shouldn't be doing outrageous, outlandish bullshit. And it's so unfortunate that everyone decided to side with Ed on this one because they didn't want to appear homophobic as well. Like, I get it. I understand you guys are like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Let's not throw accusations out like that, Ed. We're on your side, buddy. But no, newsflash, it's actually not homophobic to say no to someone when they want something that they are not entitled to have. Crazy, crazy little thing that, huh? Oh well, what's done is done. I still don't think you're an asshole for that. I think the rest of the friend group were being doormats, if I'm going to be quite frank. And I don't support Frank in this one either. I'm not going to be Frank. I'm not going to be complicit in this bullshit. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. And now, on to the update. I had some people ask, so I wanted to update. Thanks to everyone who commented. I realized I needed a bit of distance from this group for not having my back. On the money issue, I spent some time trying to work out the cost breakdown since many people asked about the numbers. All prices have been converted to USD. The total cost for the 7-night cabin stay was $1,744. My girlfriend and I covered half of that, 3.5 nights, and the other was split between Frank, Liam, and Jay. Eva paid for gas. She drives a van for work, so she drove us all up, which came to $199. Ed paid for 3 meals and snacks, which came to $230, $157 for the first meal, and $73 for snacks and 2 fast food runs. What everyone paid. Me, $436, girlfriend, $436, Frank, Liam, and Jay, $290.67, Eva, just under $200, and Ed, $230. So Ed covered almost the cost of one night, but it was significantly less than my girlfriend and I paid for the master. The 6 of us have been going to this same cabin for 5 years, and before my girlfriend and I got together, she and Eva used the master. The others are more than welcome to use the master if they pay what my girlfriend and I do, which I see now might not be super fair to them since we're the only couple in the group, so that we can afford it more easily. Like many said to do, I texted Frank and asked him to pay me and my girlfriend for 1 night stay on the trip. It might have been a little under, but I didn't want to argue anymore, and my girlfriend told me to sort this out and drop the issue. Frank paid me a few days later and asked if we could meet so he could explain what happened at our local bar. I want to see Ed there when my girlfriend and I arrived. It took some time for the conversation to start, but Ed eventually told us his relationship with his parents has been rocky due to his sexuality. A few months ago, before the cabin trip, he brought Frank home to meet them for the first time, and his parents made them sleep in separate rooms. Ed said that his folks implied that he and Frank would be kicked out if they didn't. He said that when I refused to let them use the master bedroom, it brought up those bad feelings, and he misdirected his anger at me. I don't totally buy that explanation, not the full extent of it, but I can understand how not being allowed to share a bed might bring up bad memories for him. For Frank's sake, I agreed to let it go and told them that I appreciated the apology, but I still need space. I'm not ready to pick up where we left off. My friends usually talk about taking another trip in November at this time, but I think I'll find somewhere closer to go with my girlfriend so I don't have to deal with this group drama again. I'm still not entirely over her not having my back either, so nothing is in the works right now. Thanks again. In the comments, Poetry and Simple Things says, Whatever his explanation is, tagging along with an existing group as an outsider to a trip that's basically a tradition of theirs, being invited to the trip by one person from that group after the plan was already made, and then kicking out 2 core members from a room they paid for is a shitty and entitled thing to do. Yup, totally not the asshole. Absolutely out of line. You join an existing trip, you get what's left. Also, dude, fighting with the group like the first night isn't a good look. And the whole, I guess we can pay more because we're a couple. Dude, as a couple, you paid 4 times what any one individual paid. This is not hard to be fair and have a plan well in advance, which they did. A last-minute guest does not change the plan for everyone else. I read the original, and I just want to say that I'm taking your side over the girlfriend. I would feel exactly the same way you do. The fact the girlfriend doesn't back you up doesn't necessarily mean she's wrong, but it does signal that you two have very different sets of values. Has this mismatch in values manifested in other areas of your relationship? It's something you're probably already reflecting on as you ponder your future with this person. I certainly would. She could have just been tired, and the argument was keeping everyone awake. Fair point, but I was also considering this comment from this current post. My girlfriend told me to sort this out and drop the issue. I take this as the girlfriend continuing to not have OP's back. And it's always fair to be boring and say, well, we don't have all the information for this one, so I can't really make an assessment because I don't know the full story. And yeah, when it's more sensitive issues, of course, I understand that. But this is fairly low stakes, so I'm happy with making assumptions. And I'm going to go with that one as well. It really does seem like there is a mismatch in the values between OP and OP's girlfriend. I really do feel like logically, just taking into account the financial difference that everyone put into this trip, why would you side with Ed and Frank? Oh yeah, we're paying 4 times what anyone in this trip is paying for, so of course, we're going to get the couch. Yeah guys, thank you for that. How about, before you guys take over the master bedroom, how about you transfer us our share so that we can pay what you guys are paying currently and you can take over ours? How about that, huh? Marky the instigator here, guys. No one's getting a lick of sleep until I win this one. But yeah, it is very weird to me that after all is said and done, the girlfriend is still being like, ugh, I'm gonna wash my hands of this. I don't even want to get involved. Are you gonna sort this drama out, OP? It's like, bro, you're part of the problem too. How come it's all on me? How come you don't get involved and back me up here? What if I did the same to you in a very similar instance? How are you gonna feel when I'm not supportive of you? You're not gonna be very happy with me. So why should I be happy with you wanting to wash your hands of it now? Make it make sense. I don't blame OP at all for wanting to stay the hell away from that group for a good while, but I do think it's in everyone's best interests to tackle it at some point and not let this break the tradition or break you guys as a friend group. That would be unproductive. Definitely take time off, but don't take too much time off. Thank you for the story, OP. Our next post is by a throwaway account, and it's titled, "My best friend is gonna be a dad in the same time as me, and I hate it. I feel like a terrible person for feeling this way. I hate everything about it, and it makes me a very bad friend." Here's some context. My friend and I have always had the same interests in many things. He always had a financial situation better than mine and loves to have nice things. This creates situations where whenever I have something, he has the better one. Like, for example, I just bought a good computer. A couple months later, he shows up with a better one. A nice great camera with a nice lens. He'll get the newer, more advanced one. Anything I have, he'll have to have it too, just better. You guys remember Borat? This is my neighbor. He is pain in my assholes. Anyway, I don't want to believe he does it on purpose. We just have the same interests and he has more money, so it does just make sense. Anyway, this became a running joke between my wife and I. For a long time, I was having a successful relationship with her and he was struggling to keep a girlfriend. So when he finally found the one 10 months ago, we joked about it because she was a single mother that had a 5-year-old daughter. We joked that, okay, he had to one-up you on this one as well. You're married, so he had to find someone that would push him to the next step immediately. And so that was the joke for everything. And it was just a joke. When we decided to try for a baby, we joked about it too. You'll see that when I'm pregnant, he'll show up with twins. Well, you read the title. And when I knew that I was going to be a dad, I was very excited and I told him the news. I was feeling great about it. I was thinking that this would be an amazing moment, and him and his girlfriend asked a question, she gave us advice, they were great. And at some point, he says, well, he or she's gonna have a friend, I guess. And now I hate myself for the following. I was crushed inside. It was no longer a special announcement, it became another thing that we would have in common. I stayed polite and played along, but I was not happy at all about it. They didn't plan to do it. They didn't do it just because we wanted one, it just happened. And yet I have this feeling that it's exactly what happened. He went into his 30s with no stable relationship, met someone just to move in with her kid 3 months later, then have a kid with her, not even a year into the relationship. I hate every single word that I wrote in this post. Since he announced the news to me, I don't want to speak about it at all with him. I barely want to talk to him, and I'm just focusing on my wife and my future kid. I put all my energy into her. I just don't have anyone to share my joy with now, and it's my fault. Now, he comes up to me telling me everything that he plans, the shopping he's going to do for the baby, the doctor's appointments. And I don't want to tell him what I'm doing or what we're planning, because that's going to be something that he'll compare and comment about. Just yesterday, he told me that it looked like I didn't care about the first ultrasound appointment just because I said that I cared more about knowing that the baby is okay than seeing the pictures, because I don't think I'll be able to understand what I'll be seeing anyway. I took it very wrong and blocked him. In the comments, Dana29 says, comparison is the thief of joy. Right? Someone else always has more of something or has something different that you don't have. So yeah, you could always compare yourself to oblivion. Come on, the grass might seem to be greener on the other side, but you have your own lawn to take care of. At least in terms of cheating, the grass is only ever greener on the other side because it's fertilized with bullshit. You and your wife need to stop these jokes, even between yourselves, because this low-key just sounds like jealousy masked as jokes. I get that you guys have the feeling that he's copying you, but you said it yourself, after a long struggle, he found a relationship with a woman that has a 5-year-old. If he were copying, I doubt he would even go for a single mom. You guys are just projecting everything that he does onto yourself. 100% so true. Yeah, OP, it sounds like you're jealous of your friend. The jokes don't help. Have you guys ever talked about the issue? The whole thing sounds like a jealousy thing, and I get that you can feel that. But come on, your friend deserves to be happy too. Focus on your path, and don't put attention on what your friend does. Delete social media if that helps. This seems like a toxic friendship ready to boil over. I agree with that. I think you guys really do need to stop comparing yourself so much, because it is robbing you of joy. You yourself even recognize that it's bad, OP. You went so far as blocking him after talking about the ultrasound appointment. It is not that deep. You didn't need to block him for that. To me, that reads as something that is passive-aggressive and unneeded for, and he's going to notice that you blocked him. And like, how are you going to explain this when he comes asking questions? Or you have to add him as a friend again and be like, why was I unadded as a friend? What happened? I think you should take the advice of the comments here and start, yes, focusing on yourself and stop comparing him to you. You're actually just wasting your own emotional energy on this one when you can just ignore him. And now, on to the update. Yesterday, I made a post about how I was feeling like a terrible person for not being happy for my friend having a kid at the same time as me. Commenters helped me a lot, bringing me back to reality. Judgments were made about me. Some were wrong, but most of them were true. I already planned to have an appointment with my therapist before posting, but I took it right after. In the meantime, I couldn't speak to my friend about it because I felt too ashamed of my behavior, and maybe some things are better left unsaid. However, I did apologize to him for my recent behavior. Other events had occurred that made me cold towards him, and I explained myself. He appreciated a lot of my apologies, me acknowledging that I wasn't a good friend. I spoke to my wife about it, and she was very supportive. I told her basically what you guys told me, that I was going to have a kid, that I didn't have a do-over on this one, and that I didn't want to completely miss the moment just because my mind was not in a good place. I told her that I booked an appointment with a therapist in order to refocus on our kid, and she appreciated this. Even though she wasn't as brutal as you, she agreed with all of your advice. She didn't see the post, I just told her the lessons that I'd learned from it. Also, yesterday, something very important happened. The first ultrasound appointment. This was incredible. Beforehand, I was not especially excited about it because I had a misconception of what it would be. I thought I was just going to see a few still pictures of the embryo that I wouldn't be able to understand because I thought that it would be 3 blurry pixels in front of a noisy background. However, this was much more than this. This was a live video of those 3 blurry pixels where the doctor could explore in all 3 dimensions. I saw it alive. I saw his heart beating. We measured it and we heard his heart. What can I say? Nothing else matters now. I don't care about my friend's actions. My baby is in good shape, my wife is healthy, and that's all that matters. He's the only thing in my mind now after the echography. I still go to my therapist, but the heartbeat that I saw and heard yesterday already accomplished so many things. Thanks for you, honestly. Thanks for those many quotes that I will remember. Sometimes we are not the good person in the room, but we can try to be better. In the comments, Jujubee says, I'm glad hearing the heartbeat and seeing the ultrasound helped make it real for you. Your friend going through the same thing doesn't make it less special. Believe it or not, having kids at the same time usually strengthens a friendship because you can do kid stuff together. My sister and I are pregnant at the same time right now, both our firsts. We were always compared to one another growing up, but are working really hard to overcome that first reaction. I'm so incredibly happy for her. The timing really was a coincidence, and actually, she's a few weeks ahead of me, and it's really nice to be able to peek into what's next, and plan fun events for our parents, who will go from 0 grandchildren to 2 in the span of a month. Aminar14 says, that's the important part. Life is going to throw you a lot of curveballs. Through it all, you're going to get to model handling things well, even when times are rough to that kid. And sometimes we try to have kids at the same time as our friends or family. My buddy has a 2-year-old and a 3-month-old. I have an 8-month-old. My sister has a 5-month-old. Technically, those are all coincidental, but it's wonderful too. Those kids will get to grow up together, knowing they always have friends right around their age. Absolutely this, OP. That perspective is everything, turning what felt like competition into connection. Life really does throw curveballs, but getting to raise your kid alongside others so close in age is a hidden blessing. They'll grow up with built-in friends, and you'll grow with them too. Very glad that OP did let this all go when they finally went to that ultrasound appointment. It doesn't always happen in situations like this, so I'm very glad that that is what broke through for OP. And hopefully, they take more advice from the comments here and change their perspective to see it as a blessing and not a curse. If they were able to maintain such a strong and genuine connection with their best friend here, you would hate to kind of see it broken by something like this, where most people would see it as a blessing that they have now 2 kids to raise that are similar age and can be friends and will bring them closer together. So thank you for the story, OP. I'm wishing you nothing but the best going forward. Our next post is by user Not a Doormat Naomi, titled, Am I the asshole here for refusing to change my children's school for my husband after his ex-wife lost her high-paying job? I'm 42 female with 2 children, 16 female and 12 male with my ex Danny. I've been married to Greg, 44 male, who had a son, 15 male, and a daughter, 10 female, with her ex Leah. We met at our children's school. Danny and I jointly funded our children's private school, and they have college funds set by both sets of grandparents. He is loaded. My ex and I don't like each other, but we co-parent well and want the best for our kids. Greg and I have decided that things we buy and treat kids equal at home, but school college fund won't be mixed as our exes are involved, as well as gifts from ex-partners. We have had to teach kids the differences between our incomes when it comes to my ex's kids. The kids are nice to each other and do share things, although they definitely love their bio siblings way more. Greg and his ex jointly fund their children's education too, but Leah lost her job recently and has had to downgrade. That means they can't pay for the same school. They had to change schools. Now he's pressuring me that his kids hate that my children go to a bigger international school and that we should change schools after summer. I told him that my kids' education cannot be compromised and that it was clear to us that we are responsible for our children's school as well as college education. We are fighting a lot on this, and he's saying that I am being too tough. He's sleeping in the other room, but I won't change anything regarding my children, and my ex alone can pay for his children's education. If I even try to do this, my kids would never forgive me. I love Greg, but this is the hill that I will die on. I don't think he would have changed his kids' schools if this was the case on my side. Even if it means that I have to lose him, I'm hurting inside, but I want what is best for my children. Edit. I can't make unilateral decisions about my children's education. My ex will drag me to court and will brainwash my kids against me. In the comments, No Stable says, not the asshole. Greg has nothing to do with your children's education and apparently has been that way since the beginning. Greg can't change the rules because he feels like your children are getting a better deal. Your children come first, and their education is so important, as well as being set up by going to a good school, good college, etc. I stand with you on this hill. Greg's an idiot. He showed his true character to the only good thing that he has in life. Greg needs to get over himself and stop thinking that he gets a say on where another man's children goes to school when he isn't even paying for it. They aren't his children. They have a father. Their father pays for their education and not him. Their father's finances and what he provides for his children are none of his business. He needs to get a grip and teach himself and his own children to manage their expectations. They aren't going to get everything they want in life, and there will always be somebody who has more, is better off, is smarter, is more successful than them. They don't get to demand that other people do without because they don't have. Is this even OP's call to change schools, and not something that she would have to agree on with the ex? If OP was stupid enough to cave, it would definitely be dragged into court by the ex. It would be an easy win to get the judge to decree that they can't change schools because there is no financial change to her, so she would be expected to continue her side of the agreement. Greg is 44 years old. He is old enough to have a brain to understand that what he wants is never going to happen. If you look at it from how it's going to be dragged into court and how nothing has changed with OP and the ex, it's just never going to happen. All he is going to achieve by continuing to argue with OP is the dissolution of their relationship, a breakdown in their relationship. He is fighting a losing battle for no good reason for his own idea of fairness. But unfortunately, life is not fair, Greg, and you are going to bite yourself in the ass if you keep fighting that. I don't think OP is the asshole at all for refusing to change the children's school. That is not Greg's decision to make, and OP really has no choice in this instance. There is nothing that OP can do that will satisfy everyone here. I feel like that is such an unfair thing for him to be bringing on to OP, and he can only be mad at himself when the logical outcome of his actions come home to roost. And now, on to the update. Thanks for the feedback. I got a lot of support, as well as criticism. People told me that I should have married the rich guy again, but sorry, love doesn't ask for a bank balance. Some said that I'm an evil stepmother. I pay more than half of our household bills. I pay for the mortgage, and I don't have much extra money left, and I have personal expenses too. Should I stop living at all? I have to dress decently at the office and have to buy things for myself. And my ex will drag me to court, if I even dare to change it, and my kids will hate me. I can't lose them. Anyways, update. After I made this thread, the same day I told Greg this can't continue. I told him that my ex will never agree, nor will I agree to it. I asked if there was any aid programs the school could provide to his kids. He told me that his ex and him asked the school and that they refused. I told him that if he's going to fight me over this every day, it is better that we split then. His expectations are going over the top. Tomorrow, Danny might gift expensive cars to our kids. Did we have to sell kidneys to give the same cars to my stepchildren? Tomorrow, he transfers his business to the kids. Would he expect them to give shares to the stepchildren? He apologized and said that he doesn't want to leave me. He cried, and we had a heart-to-heart. The next day, we invited Leah, and we devised a plan. Leah also has a lot of debt, and she is drowning. With all the salary changes and little compromises here, like 1 vacation a year rather than 2, we can afford the fees for the elder stepchild. I will contribute some to it too. Greg's son is 15 and in the 10th grade, so we can afford his fees for 3 years. The 10-year-old female would still need to go to the cheaper school for 3 years. If Leah's and Greg's financial conditions don't change, that is, which they might change in the future. But when her brother graduates in 3 years, we'll transfer her back to the better school once again. We talked to the school again, and he's transferring back in a few days. The kid is happy, and even though the stepdaughter is a little sad, we cheered her up and will try to make it up to her in other ways. I know many asked for me to divorce, but he isn't a bad person. Yes, he reacted harshly, but he apologized to my kids and to me. This is it for now, so thank you for every positive comment and suggestion. Take care. Edit to add, people making assumptions that I'm taking from my children? No. My post was about education of kids and our agreement. If I was the only one paying fees, I would still never have accepted Greg's ultimatum. I would have chosen divorce, so stop assuming. Nothing has been taken from my children's plate. And someone in the very first comment said that I do the bare minimum for my kids and my ex does the heavy load. My ex earns millions. How could you expect me to compete? I pay for things in my capacity. I do savings for them and many other activities. If that is bare minimum, then so be it. In this forum, people are hypocrites. If I find a solution, I become suddenly a bad mother. If I don't, I'm the evil stepmom. My contribution is very less to stepson's private school, and it doesn't affect our budget or my children's needs. Greg also does a lot of things for my kids, and they have a good relationship. But my post wasn't about that. In the comments, Oh Wise One says, "Not the asshole. Whilst it's good that you've reached a compromise, I caution you to be alert about your husband Greg. There's a possibility that he's taking advantage of you. Be open to that situation. I worry that after his children finish school, he will leave you. As right now, he is very dependent on you. You are paying for the mortgage and most of the living expenses. He has a house that is currently rented, which he can go back to. Where is all of his money going to? Are you saving enough money that if he leaves you, you're okay financially? I get that your ex is wealthy and will take care of his kids. Please make sure that you are protected, just in case." There's a line about OP paying for the stepkid's school fees until her husband or her husband's ex's income improves. Lol, that woman is never going to admit to making more money. If OP believes that, I have a bridge that I want to sell her. Sure, she may get promotions, but she'll say that that didn't come with any money. She may move jobs, but she'll say that she doesn't make any more. Magically, until her kids are out of school. And that's where I'm going to leave you guys today. I do hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.